Dear students, now let us continue the demand analysis chapter. In the last class, in the last video, we discussed about the demand concept, demand function, then determinants of demand, law of demand, then elasticity of demand, then types of elasticity of demand, and also about elasticity of supply function, then elasticity of supply. Now let us discuss the different degrees of price elasticity of supply. So here also we have 5 different types, like perfectly elastic supply, perfectly inelastic supply, unitary elastic supply, highly elastic supply, relatively inelastic supply. The determinants of price elasticity of supply are time, availability of inputs, nature of goods, storage capacity, technology. So these are the different elasticity concepts under demand and supply. Now coming to the last concept of the second unit, that is demand forecasting. Forecasting is essentially an operation research technique of planning and decision making. It refers to making prediction of any future event. That is, demand forecasting is the scientific and analytical estimation of demand for a product, that could be any good or a service, for a particular period of time, that we call as demand forecasting, or it is the process of determining how much of which product is needed, when and where. And it involves estimation of level of demand, that is to what extent and magnitude of demand we can see a response, that is responsiveness of demand as elasticity to a proposed change in price, that is income of a consumer, maybe because of price of other good and other determinants. And demand forecasting is an estimate of sales in rupees or physical units for a specified period, future period, and a proposed marketing plan. So this was given by American Marketing Association. So here we have categorization of demand forecasting, so that we can do at different contexts, that is looking at the level of the business, that is at the firm level, industry level, and economic level, and based on the time period as short run and long run, and nature of goods as capital goods and consumer goods. Here we shall discuss the techniques of demand forecasting. So in order to estimate the demand, we use different techniques. They are consumers' opinion, different types of opinion survey in the form of feedback, then they are the census method and sample method, then Salesforce composite method, experts opinion method, Delphi technique, group discussion method, market simulation, and test marketing. So this technique has to be we have to write, and here using this technique we can estimate the demand qualitatively, and in order to quantitatively estimate the demand we use different techniques like trend projection method. So here we have 3 subtypes in trend projection method. They are seasonal, cyclical, and random trend projection, and this is expressed or calculated using least square method or by graphical method or ARIMA method. And also we use some other methods like smoothing techniques, where we may be using moving average technique, weighted moving average, or exponential smoothing, and also other techniques like barometric method, econometric method, regression analysis, all the statistical parameters the tools will be using here. So this is about demand forecasting, and here demand forecasting using a trend projection method or moving average method is very important, and simple problems on this may be there, and also problems about elasticity of demand, uh, that is particularly on the price. Different elasticity we have to calculate, and also the demand function at different price levels. So such simple problems also might be there. And now let us discuss the last concept of the second unit, that is limitations of demand forecasting. So in assessing the demand, we have certain limitations like change in fashion, consumer psychology, uneconomical growth, and lack of expertise or experts, and lack of past data. So under these conditions, we may not be able to estimate proper demand. So this is about the second unit. Now let us move to the third unit. So third unit in the managerial economics is the cost analysis and production analysis. So in the first concept, that is the cost concept, we will be discussing different concepts, and before that we will be addressing the production concept as production function with one variable input and the law of variable proportions, production function with the two variable inputs and law of returns to scale, indifference curves, then isoquants, isocost line, then least cost combination factor, economies of scale, diseconomies of scale, technological progress and production function, types of cost, then BEP, break even analysis. Coming to the first function, that is cost. What is a cost? Cost is a sacrifice or foregoing that has occurred or has potential to occur in future with an objective to achieve a specific purpose measured in monetary terms. Anything, any satisfaction or any buying behavior we measure in terms of cost, price, that we call as cost. Cost results in current and future cash or assets, or a current or future increase in liability. So here we have different determinants of cost. They are price, productivity of inputs, technology, and level of output. Mathematically, we can express the cost function as C is equal to F of Q, T, and P of F, where C is cost, Q is output, and T is technology, and PF is price of the input, where we study the output production activity at a particular technology by keeping technology as constant, and what is the cost incurred on the production activity, that we calculate in terms of money, that is price on various inputs, that we call as cost function. Here we have different types of cost like accounting cost, real cost, opportunity cost, implicit and explicit cost, social cost, real cost, historic and future cost, direct and indirect cost, controllable and uncontrollable cost, production and selling cost. Then cost in short run, total cost functions and curves. So here we will be discussing different types of cost. Coming to the first type, that is fixed cost. These are the costs that do not vary with the output. So the such type of cost we call as fixed cost, like on rent on buildings, rent on any machine equipments or land, then interest on capital, so that we call as fixed cost. And variable costs are, these are the cost, these are the costs that vary with output and are incurred in getting more and more input. So like salary and the prices of different goods and commodities, so they keep on changing, so the price of such things come under variable cost. Then semi variable cost, these are the costs which remain fixed till a level of output and then variable beyond, so then next they change. Then total cost is total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Here the relationship between fixed cost, variable and total cost is given written here. Now let us analyze costs in short run. The average and marginal cost functions, it is average cost is the cost per unit of output, or it is the ratio of total cost to the units of output. Then average fixed cost, it is the ratio of total fixed cost to units of the output, and average variable cost, it is again the ratio of total variable cost to the units of output. Then marginal cost, it is change in total cost due to unit change in output. It is also defined as rate of change in total cost. Since the fixed cost cannot be altered, marginal cost is virtually change in variable cost per unit change in output. It is also known as rate of change in total cost. The same when we write in a graphical form, here we can express that as the number of output increased, fixed cost remains the same, and average fixed cost falls steeply at first and then gently. Then average variable cost curve and average curve are both U-shaped. Cost decline when there is increasing returns, stabilize at constant return, and increases with decreasing returns. AC being the sum of AVC and AFC remains above AVC and AFC curves. So this is about costs in short run. And average and marginal cost curves, so that also we had discussed. It is the magnitude of managerial cost that is interlinked with changes in average cost. When average cost decline, then the marginal cost lies below the average cost. When average costs are constant, then MC is equal to AC, that is MC passes through the minimum point of average cost curve. When average cost rise, MC curve lies above them. So this is the expression of AC and MC. So the mathematical form of these are, that is marginal productivity of the variable input generally increases in the beginning, then attains a maximum and eventually decline with increase in output, that is MC being the product of W given and inverse of MP. MC would generally that is thought of always as it is going to decrease and attain a minimum and eventually increase with increase in output. So this is about cost in long run, short run. Then coming to the next concept, costs in long run, that we call as lag curve. So here long run average total cost represents average cost per unit of output in long run. All inputs are considered to be variable in long run, and in the long run firms are able to adjust all costs, whereas in short run firms are only able to influence prices through adjustments made to the production level. The long run is associated with the long run average cost that we call as LRAC or LRATC, the average cost of output feasible when all factors of production are variable. And LRAC average cost curve is the curve along with a firm which would minimize its cost per unit for each respective long run quantity of output. So these are the representations of cost in the long run. This is about cost concept. Coming to the production concept. Once we understand the cost concept, then we will be discussing about production concept. Production is the process of transformation of inputs into goods and services of utility to consumers or to the producers. It is the process of creation of value or wealth, and such process of adding value may occur by change in form or by change in place or by change in hands. Production of goods include all tangible goods such as furniture, house, machine, food, car, television, etc. And services include intangible items like banking, education, management, consultancy, transportation, etc. And we'll be discussing about types of inputs. They are technology. The types of inputs for any production process are technology, fixed and variable input, factors of production like land, labor, capital, enterprise, and organization. Then based on this we can write a production function as it is a relationship between inputs and output. There can be several technically efficient methods of production. That is, production function includes all such technically efficient methods, that is defined as a relationship between inputs and outputs over a given period of time with the given set of technology and a given period of time. Production is a function of inputs, their quality and quantity and interrelation. Hence production function can be written as it is always related to a given time period, always related to a certain level of technology, and dependent upon relation between inputs. Production function shows the maximum quantity of the commodity that can be produced per unit of time for each set of alternative input and a given level of production technology. Production function can be expressed as, normally the production function can be written as Q is equal to f of x1, x2 and xn, that is x1, x2 are the determinants or variables of production activity, where Q is the maximum quantity of output and x1, x2, xn are the quantity of various inputs used in the production function. And we can write this as Q is equal to f of L, K, L, R and E. So that is, Q is output, L is labor, K is capital, L is land, R is raw material and E is efficiency parameter. So here we will be discussing the production function with one variable input and production function with two variable inputs. Generally we consider the price as an important variable here. By considering that price effect, we will be analyzing the production function. Suppose let us consider if labor is fixed in a short run, average product can be similarly expressed as AP K is equal to TP by K. K is the capital, then it can be expressed as APK is equal to TP by K, and marginal product is defined as any additional change in the total output to unit change in variable input. So thus marginal product of labor would be MPL is equal to change in total product by change in level. So based on this we have a law of variable proportion. It states that so in a short run a variation in any variable, generally the labor, if we increase any one input, one variable, the production in the production function, the production will eventually be will increase in the beginning, and later it see a constant state, and later slowly it sees a diminishing rate, that is it start declining, and sometimes it may even reaches negative. So this situation we call as law of variable proportion or law of diminishing returns. So this happens in a short run. So based on this we have three different stages, so that we can express here. So it is law of variable proportion states that the quantity of variable factor is increased. Any one variable factor is increased with the other fixed factors, the marginal product and the average product, they eventually decline. They will eventually decline. So this we see in a short run. The same concept when we apply in the long run, that is called as law of returns to scale. With the production function with two variable inputs, by considering labor and capital, we can write, so that we call as isoquant and isocost lines or curves. So this we shall continue in the next video.